It was just after sunset when Emily Parker's old sedan sputtered to a stop on the edge of Highway 67, an empty stretch of road halfway between Dallas and nowhere. Her gas light had been blinking for miles, but she'd hoped she could make it to the next town. Now, with her phone at 3% and no signal, all she could do was sit and hope someone would stop. She wrapped her coat tighter around her shoulders. The air was getting colder by the minute. Just when the silence became unbearable, headlights appeared in her rearview mirror, a rusted pickup truck slowing to a stop behind her. Her heart skipped. Should she trust him? A tall man stepped out, his face shadowed beneath a worn baseball cap. "Need a hand, ma'am?" he called out. His voice was rough but steady. Emily hesitated. She remembered every warning she'd ever heard about strangers on highways. But something in his tone, calm, patient, made her unlock her door. "I ran out of gas," she said quietly. He nodded, glancing at her car. "There's a station about 5 miles up. I got a spare can in my truck. Sit tight." He turned and walked back toward his pickup, his boots crunching against the gravel. For a moment, Emily considered driving away if the car started again, but she didn't. There was something honest about the way he moved, no rush, no fear. If you believe true kindness always finds its way back, please tap the like button now and subscribe to support more stories like this. 10 minutes later, he returned with a red gas can. "This should get you to town," he said, pouring it carefully into her tank. His hands were scarred, his jacket faded and torn. Emily couldn't help but wonder what kind of life left someone with eyes that tired. When he finished, she handed him a 20. "Please, take this. I really appreciate it." He shook his head. "No need. Just pass it on." But Emily insisted. "At least let me buy you a coffee. It's freezing out here." After a moment, he smiled. A small, reluctant smile. "All right then." They drove into the next town together, pulling into a quiet diner off the main road. The place was nearly empty except for a waitress humming softly behind the counter. Emily learned his name was Jack. He'd been traveling for work, doing odd construction jobs, moving from one small town to another. Still, something about his story didn't add up. His hands were too steady, his words too careful. There was a heaviness in him, as if he carried something he wasn't ready to say. As they talked over steaming cups of coffee, Emily noticed a faded photograph sticking out from Jack's wallet, a young boy, no older than 10. "That your son?" she asked gently. He looked down, the smile fading. "Was. Haven't seen him in a few years." Emily felt a lump rise in her throat. "I'm sorry." He nodded, staring at the mug. "Made some mistakes. Trying to find my way back, I guess." When they finished their coffee, Emily thanked him again and they went their separate ways. But the encounter stayed with her, the quiet kindness of a stranger who expected nothing in return. 2 weeks later, Emily was at the community center where she volunteered, helping organize donations for a local outreach program. That afternoon, the director announced that a new volunteer had joined, a man who had recently moved to town and wanted to give back. When he walked in, Emily froze. It was Jack. He looked different now, freshly shaven, wearing a clean shirt, standing a little taller. Their eyes met, and he smiled shyly. "Didn't expect to see you here," he said. Emily smiled back. Guess kindness really does find its way back. Over the next few months, they worked side by side, distributing food, helping families find housing, mentoring kids who'd lost their way. Jack never talked much about his past, but little by little, he rebuilt his life. He reconnected with his son, found steady work, and eventually became one of the most dedicated volunteers at the center. One evening, as they were locking up, Emily asked him what made him stop to help her that night. He paused for a long time before answering. "Because someone once stopped for me when I didn't deserve it. I figured maybe it was my turn." Tears welled in her eyes. That single act of compassion, on a dark road, between two strangers, had changed both their lives forever. We'd love to hear your story. What is the most memorable act of unexpected kindness you have witnessed or received? Share it in the comments below. A year later, on a bright spring morning, the community center held its annual fundraiser. Jack stood on stage, thanking everyone for their support. He looked out at the crowd and found Emily in the front row. Their eyes met again, this time with a quiet understanding that some meetings aren't coincidences, they're the universe's way of mending what's broken. And as the audience rose in applause, Emily thought back to that cold highway night. She'd helped a stranger, but he wasn't who she thought. He wasn't lost, he was finding his way home. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe, because kindness, when shared, can truly change the world.